Good morning. My name is Shannon Pilcher. I'm with the Performance Designs factory team, founder of the team, so I've been with the program for over a decade. I'm here to talk to you this morning specifically about cutaways, emergency procedures, given the recent amount of malfunctions that we've seen in the sport, costly malfunctions that have taken lives and have injured jumpers, many of those being at low altitude, so people cutting way lower than is safe or lower than they can get a reserve out in time. Do we have a hard deck? And what is that hard deck? And are we ready to honor that standard that we've set for ourselves? I'm not here to endorse an altitude so much as to endorse the hard deck. And I can take it a step further and say that a lot of us think we have a hard deck, but we don't, I'm thinking of my own history, we don't actually define it for ourselves. And that means, again, when we're overwhelmed with all the different things happening in the milliseconds, and we have an idea of where we'd like our hard deck to be, then that's not necessarily going to be the right recipe when the time comes. When we're overwhelmed with tasks and things happening, so we have a malfunction or we have a situation to deal with, and we've got other jumpers or we're in the middle of a break-off or whatever it might be, and we need to be altitude aware, the last thing that I want, or I think we should be bothered with, is trying to discern or differentiate between 750 and 775 or something of that nature, you know. So better just to have, obviously, to have a strong round number, and 1,000 feet seems like a good one. I've had a hard deck for myself as a high performance canopy pilot, a very general hard deck, and I'm learning through this process even that maybe I need to tighten up my procedures, but I've had a general loose hard deck of the point of maneuver altitude. So altitude is certainly the main gauge of how we would choose a hard deck. But what I was getting at by suggesting that I use my point of maneuver for a high performance landing, that same recipe could apply for all of us no matter what we do. So for instance, trying to correlate a certain position or place in your pattern with an altitude being the bottom line, being the absolute hard deck, you could say, by the time I've entered my pattern, or once I've entered my pattern, I will no longer cut away. And that, for me, that would be a good combination of a plan to have, because suddenly you're on your downwind leg and you don't see traffic to your side, and you have a collision, you get entangled with someone, and now you're trying to assess altitude. Maybe your hand is caught, maybe your altimeter is covered up, whatever it may be. You don't have audible with multiple alarms, and you're not able to assess the altitude, so now you're left in a panicking, guessing situation, and that's probably the worst scenario that I can imagine. So whatever container, whatever canopy you're jumping, I would recommend establishing the same hard deck for all.